Thank you for the invitation here to speak about this work, and I will extend apologies for the definition of this photo, but yeah, as you can see, it's an artificial island over there, situated in the River Ij, just I think 2 kilometers west from here, and you can visit it. There's a little boat that you can take to visit it. My name is Thomas Lamers, and I co-founded the Walden Collective, and we create art in public space that tries to reflect on ecological relations and climate situations that we're in. We call ourselves a theater collective, but we do non-fiction. So we have these visual interventions, and sometimes you can spend time with us that's about 90 minutes and kind of directed, but we don't have characters, fictional characters as such. And EILAND is one of our projects that is very clearly an intervention in public space, and it has a lot to do with the idea of finitude. So when we as human beings are born, we quite soon learn that our time here is going to be limited, that we are mortal. And we were wondering, given the current circumstances, if we could have this same sense of finitude for a city. So, and what would that mean for the ways we live together? In 1275, Amsterdam as a city was first mentioned in historical documents. We then got the right to ask for toll. So when boats and other things came around, the city could ask for toll, and that was, I think, extended by Count Floris. And by then, If we take that year, then in 2025, so in 3 years' time, the city will have its 750th birthday, and we thought it would be a good occasion to then reflect on, okay, if we have the sense that the city is finite, when will that ending be? So we quite generously gave Amsterdam another 250 years. If we generously interpret the science, then we might be able to stretch it to that period. So then the stretch of the city will have been 1,000 years. And we will leave by 2275. Because by then it will be simply too dangerous or too expensive or impossible, physically impossible to live here. And surely we could build some more dikes and have technological innovations, but we should realize that we're an estuary. So if you tip the map of the continent so that you have the Alps at the top of your map, then you see that all this water slowly comes down to the Netherlands and Belgium, and we are kind of the delta, we're the estuary of all that water. So if we build dikes, then the sea level rise will also be a problem for coming in through the river mouths. And actually already we're seeing the salinization of the city of Amsterdam and the wildlife responding to more salt soil. And even if you are one of these eco-modernists that think that we can fix this, it's a question of solidarity. Are these billions that will have to be invested in saving Amsterdam, are they the billions best spent in trying to solve the whole plethora of problems that will be thrown at us? So, with the project of EILAND, which is actually a really fun project, we set out with the question: can we create issue space for imagining an ending? So we were talking earlier, or Aura was talking about alarm fatigue, and we were thinking about that. How can we create space? How can we create a nice environment for people to reflect on this sense of an ending? And can we also maybe take can we also make it less of a toxic idea? Can we make it something that we could just accept and wrap our brains around and live with, without it having to be a catastrophe? Can we plan for our ending? And this, so this island is in the shape of the Veluwe. And the Veluwe is, for Dutch standards, a higher bit of land. It's very sandy, and the sticks that you see sticking out are representing the height lines on the map. So that little blue thing over there is the Bosbank. That's the tallest point on the Veluwe. And there where the guy is standing, that's where Arnhem is going to be, or is. And here, this little tip is more or less where Apeldoorn is. And there is Amersfoort. So when the water actually does come, and it will become physically impossible to live in Amsterdam, if we haven't planned, and we then have to flee because we were not properly warned or not prepared, then the first islands you'll see is a kind of archipelago. That's the Utrechtse Heuvelrug. And then you will come to this big bit of land, and that island that is now very thinly populated might become home to many of the people living in the Randstad, because the majority of the people in the Netherlands live below sea level. All the four biggest cities are already under sea level, and so it's going to be the most costly bit to try and save. We have two different artistic interventions that we did with this island. That was in the IJ in the summer of 2021 and in the summer of 2022, and might come back in the summer of 2023. But there was an individual experience. So the boat person would collect you and ask you for your swimming costume sizes. You would get a swimming costume, and you would get slippers, and they would take you over, and they would slowly, in the space of 4 minutes, take you to the island and just have some quite normal chit-chat with you, and then slowly would start asking questions that are a bit more strange, like, how's your German? And do you have family living in higher grounds? Then you'd arrive to the island, and you would be asked to change. There's a changing room there, and then then it turns out that the island is an audio installation. So you would hear an imagination of the next 250 years of Amsterdam and what will happen. You know, what's the moment when Artis is going to be evacuated, and where are these animals going to go? When are you not able to get a mortgage anymore? When will the insurance companies start canceling their policies? And then once you got changed, you were invited to lie down in another room inside that hill, and you would lie down, and infrared lights went on, and the story continued. And then you would hear the end of Amsterdam while you were getting warmer, and then you would go out, and you can't really see it now, but behind that little, behind there on the right is a little dipping pool. So you would go into the IJ to cool down, and then there was a shower with actual municipal water coming around, and then we would put the shower on, and you would be asked to take a shower and get changed, and then we would play a kind of beachy song. So there's a combination of this ending, but also the quality of wellness and of leisure. And of course, that's a juxtaposition, and we don't do that in all our works. Sometimes we also have some more doomy atmospheres. But this was really consciously trying to create this issue space, because we are being fed this bad news all the time, and we shut down. So can we? Without imagining it to be a catastrophe, can we give people this sense of finitude that we have as humans with our lives? Can we also project that onto a city? And then the other thing we did that ties in with the songs that you heard is that in the second year, so last summer, both Fleur, who's sitting here, and me had conversations with people from Noord. And we recorded them. So we took them in the morning. We took them to the island, and we sat with our feet in the paddling pool, or if it was a bit rainy, we didn't. And we had conversations about the next 250 years of Amsterdam. And for us, it was very inspiring to not be sending our message what we're used to as theater makers, but just sitting down with a recording machine and listening. Sometimes fanning the flames a little bit of the conversation, but just acquiring this knowledge that is already there. And it turned out that things might be phrased differently, but there's a lot of the same worries and visions that are present in the community, but aren't really being voiced or being heard in that way. So we came up with this thing called instant composing, where a conversation was had in the morning with these two people, and I would send 1 hour of audio to the composers, one of whom is present here, Annelinde Bruis. And in the space of 36 hours, they would create a new song. So brand new song that used literal verbatim quotes from the conversations that I had as the libretto. So keeping in all the uhs and ahs, because it gives a beautiful rhythm, and it is quite an honest expression of how people actually talk without the fancy grammar of poetry. And the people I talked to were Berend from the Kinderraad, Amsterdam North. He's an 11-year-old kid who's in the Kids Council in Amsterdam North, who wants to be a politician. And in Dutch, you heard that he said, "I would like to be a politician or become a juf or meester," which I thought was really, really nice. I couldn't really translate that for you, which means like he wanted to become a female or male teacher. And he was talking to Ruud, and Ruud is a 73-year-old retired dock worker from the NDSM wharf, who's now active in Stichting NDSM Herleefd. So he had a real sense of place in what had been happening there. He had been coming there as a child because his father and grandfather also worked there. So that was a nice intergenerational meeting. And then the song that you will hear at the end of this program is a conversation between Rosanda and Frits. And Rosanda is a social worker who works with youth in Amsterdam North. And Frits is an artist in Amsterdam North who has a big space on the wharf as well. And so we thought we would compose these songs, half of which were done by Annelinde and in collaboration with Dominic. And see if we can bring this, the single gesture of this project is saying Amsterdam is finite, and do we want it to be a surprise when the ending comes, or do we want to anticipate it, and does it by definition have to be a disaster? So that's the gesture that I also wanted to bring with this presentation. Thank you very much.